Hi, guys, and welcome to Steadfast Homestead. I am Suzanne, and I'm here to talk to you about all things homemade, homegrown, handmade here on the homestead. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about making homemade chicken tenders that is 100% kid approved. And the best part is that it is breaded with fresh milled flour. As you watch this video, I will go over the recipe and just talk about the general benefits of fresh milled flour and some of the things that I use it for in our home. I am not a purist. I do not use fresh milled flour for everything, but there are some definite recipes that I always use it for in our home, and these chicken tenders are one of those recipes. So, just a brief background on fresh milled flour. Fresh milled flour has 40 of the 44 necessary nutrients for the human body. Fresh milled flour is different than the flour that you're buying on the grocery store shelves. And it's definitely different than all purpose flour, but it's also different than the whole wheat flour that you see on the grocery store shelves. Fresh milled flour means that the wheat berries were simply ground up into flour, and then the flour was left as is and used in baking. The flour that you see in the grocery stores, the germ, endosperm, and the bran, they've been separated out into different parts in order for the flour to be shelf stable and not spoil. So, yes, it's good that you can put it on the shelf and it's not going to spoil, but you're losing a ton of nutrients that way. And a lot of times in the fresh milled flour world, we call it dead flour, the flour that's at the grocery stores. But when you mill your own flour, it is packed with nutrients. But as I said earlier, I am not a purist. I do not use it for everything because what I run into is there are just certain things that my husband and children don't care for that are made with freshly milled flour. And so therefore I feel like time and money is not being well spent. And so I just use regular good quality organic all-purpose flour for that. So just a little background on fresh milled flour. So back to the chicken tenders here. This is one of those recipes that comes together really fast. You will see that this video is not very long, and you can watch me as I'm working my way through the kitchen and getting this recipe ready. Because it is quick, it's one of those go-tos for the days where I'm like, I just don't know what to cook for supper, but I want to make something that I know my children are going to eat. This is one of those recipes that I always fall back on, and it's just really good. It's just a plain Jane old meal, and we usually have it with some peas and corn or some vegetables, and it just goes over really well in our household. So let's get started. I like to use Kamut in this recipe. If you are familiar with fresh milled flour and have researched the different grains, you will know that Kamut it has more of what they say is like a buttery flavor. So it's really good for breadings. And that's what I use for this one. It's an ancient grain and it's just packed with nutrients. So it's one of the perfect ones for this recipe. What you will need for this recipe is your thawed out chicken tenders, ready to go, the Kamut wheat berries, butter, seasoning salt, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, salt, and pepper. You're going to want to start out by cutting up about 6 tablespoons of butter and laying that in a 9 by 13 casserole pan and put it in your oven while the oven is preheating so that it's melting. You will want to preheat your oven at 425. Keep an eye on your butter in the casserole pan while the oven is preheating. I have learned the hard way that if you just leave it in there the whole time and forget about it while it's preheating, the butter melts completely, which is good, but then starts to burn. So you want to pull it out as soon as it's melted and not burning. Next, you will want to mill your grain. I mill about 1 cup of berries, which ends up being about 1.5 cups of fresh milled flour. From there, you are going to add a tablespoon of seasoning salt, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of onion powder, and about 1 to 2 teaspoons of paprika, and about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper and 1 teaspoon of salt. And you will want to mix all of that together. After you have all that mixed together, you're going to take your thawed out chicken tenders and coat them in the flour mixture. And after they are coated in the flour mixture, you will put them in the bottom of the 9 by 13 pan with the melted butter. And then you're going to cook these for about 12 minutes on one side and then pull them out and turn them over. And I usually find that about 10 minutes on the second side is sufficient. I will say that I am a foodborne illness freak, if you want to use those words, and I use my meat thermometer for pretty much everything. So please, please, please make sure that your chicken tenders have reached 165 degrees. Oven temperatures can vary, or ovens can vary in general. So just because mine take 22 minutes doesn't mean that yours might not take a little bit longer, especially if they were not completely thawed out. From there, you should have beautiful, buttery, golden looking chicken tenders ready to go. And I do believe that if you have children in your home, that they are going to love these, and it will also be kid approved in your home. So if you make these, please leave a comment below and let me know how they went, and follow along for more recipes, especially using fresh milled flour.